ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We are in the middle of mantra 2.6 in the Anandavalli, and all the discussion here is leading us to the unfoldment of Ishvara. What is Ishvara? And in a strange segue from the morning class, we are exactly at that place. Not a coincidence. And so, why Ishvara? What is Ishvara? And this Ishvara is called Brahman. And how is this Brahman? How do we say Brahma Asti? We have completed, or we are about to complete that portion in the Bhashya, which establishes the existence, Astitvam of Brahman. How do you say Brahman is? And what is the proof? You don't see Brahman anywhere. And so if Brahman is there, how do you say it is? Maybe it is not. And then so the first argument that we saw is the Akashadi Karanatvat Asti. What is Akashadi Karanatvat Asti? That is the Prathamo Hetuhu, the first reason how Bhashyakara Adi Shankara establishes the existence of Brahman. Establishes what? Shastra only has to establish it, but he just gives some reasons why Brahman, why you cannot say Brahman is not. How can you say Brahman is? And we saw the double negative, na nasti Brahma, asti eva. So why? Because all the things that are there are caused by Brahman alone. Akashadi karanatvat. Whenever you hear this at, tvat, tvat, it's the fifth case. It means it is a cause. And so, because the Akasha, etc., Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, the five elements in this particular order from the most subtle to the grossest. That's how we count it. So from Akasha, space, to what? Space to Vayu, air, space, air, fire, water, earth. This is how we count. Subtlest to the grossest. So this is the, how did all these come? Shastra says we don't have to prove this because the Shastra itself is the proof. What does the Shastra say? It has come from Brahman. Brahman is the cause. Now, do you say that Akasha exists or not? Does space exist? Yes, because we are sitting in space. No, but we are sitting in a room. Room is space. Room space. Correct? And then if I say after the class I'm going for a walk, that is outdoor space. No, but that's the river. River bank space and hall space, room space. And then what? I have too much space in my head, I'm spaced out. Or I have no space. See, there is also there that feeling. So then space is, we sense it. We don't sense it like we sense apart. We sense it internally through what is called Sakshi Pratyaksha, witness perception. Sakshi, witness, Pratyaksha, perception, cognition, witness cognition. Let's say this is a good example. You're walking on the road, and when you're walking on the road, what happens? You get a creepy feeling. You look to the left, look to the right, nothing is there to give you, but then you have this creepy feeling. Then you look back, indeed some funny looking fellow is following you. And you know that there are no good intentions, because when you stop, he also stops. When you start going, he also is going. And so, how did you know? You didn't see him. Correct? He could be a pickpocket or something like that. You didn't see him at all. But you had this feeling that your personal space was being encroached upon. And you know this through witness perception, just like oh, I was asked to wait here by my friend who said they would be here in 10 minutes. 10 minutes have surely elapsed. Where are they? And then you look at your watch, indeed 10 minutes have elapsed. You didn't count the seconds, but somehow you know this is witness perception. So Akasha is perceived, it is there. Vayu, you don't need witness perception. You just turn the fan on and Vayu is all over the place. Correct? Fire, you don't, everything is there. Asti, asti, asti iti upalabhyate. Everything in the world is cognized by one verb alone. Is. Everything from space to the perception of a thought is. You can't say thought. Thought what? Thought is. Cat is, hat is, mat is, rat is, bat is. But then supposing you say, this person who is my friend is not here. So that means what? Absence of the person is. It is an is that is stubborn. It is an is that does not go away, because that is Brahman. Whenever anything is, the isness belongs to Brahman. And then what are we left with? Just the shell of the name and the form. The isness is sweet because it is Ananda. The isness is sweet. The isness is forever because it is limitless, it is Ananta, and the isness is sentient because it is an existence that is resting in a conscious being. So that isness is not just is. That isness is denotes sentience, satyam. And then, that isness is satyam, which denotes sentience, jnanam. And then which is forever, ever, 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 until you get tired of saying forever plus more. That is what is this Brahman. Is. Never ever is it, is not. Is to use the words is not, I have to have something else. I have to know two things. I have to know where it is not and what is not. Then only this pramana called anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi means the pramana of the cognition of absence. So the cognition of absence is. So that isness is non-separate from the cognition. You see, it is just so beautiful. And the cognition of some particular thing, but we are not denying the existence. Like, see, if I say I don't have a pot in the palm of my hand, pot is. Where is it? It's in the classroom. I left it behind in the classroom. It is not here where this class is being broadcast. I left it in the lecture hall. I can say that. So, but pot is. It's not that pot is not. Pot is but pot is not here now. That is what it is. So, Brahman you cannot say is not. Why? We saw this already, because it is the cause of the entire Jagat, starting with the five elements. The five elements in turn are the cause of all the other elementals, all the things coming out of the five elements. So, there is no such thing as Brahman is not. Okay, this is what we saw last time. That is more than enough of a recap. All right, yeah. So then what is there? Then next he says, he gives example. Yatha ghata ankuradi karanam mrid bijadi. So then he gives one more thing. One more thing, what? That when something is born from something else, we are saying everything is born of Brahman. Everything has come from Brahman. When something has come from something else, we saw this in the morning class, the effect, in the effect, we see the cause. The cause is inherent in the effect. Just like when the baby is born, then it carries the parent's DNA. It carries the parent's material, the reproductive material it carries. And that's how you can say, even by a simple blood test, you can say, okay, you are not the parents of this child. You can easily tell. And of course, there are other paternity tests and all these things to tell even more. So this way, that means what? Yeah, and of course, to take a simpler example, this is made of what? Cotton. How do we know this cotton fabric? Why? Because the cotton yarn, and then cotton fibers, and cotton pod, cotton bush, and then cotton flower, cotton seed, like this. It's all cotton, 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 all the way. Suppose this is silk, then it came from the silk, the saliva of the silkworm, and the silkworm is just spins itself a cocoon in order to transform itself into a butterfly. And what do we do? Sadly, when we produce silk, what do? We cut short that process of metamorphosis. You cut the cocoon. Of course, it cannot live without that safety around it. It's still in that stage of metamorphosis, which is all has to be invisible. When anything changes, it is all just hidden. Like the baby developing in the womb, you cut it out too quickly, it will not survive. It cannot. So just like this, it is going from being a caterpillar to a butterfly. It's in an embryonic stage. It is developing the wings, it is developing the eyes, and then you cut it because you cannot wait for it to fly away. Why can't you wait for it to fly away? Because when it flies away, it breaks the threads in many places. You don't get one long yarn of silk to make your big sari, your most expensive sari. That is how it is made. That's why we don't. It's not good to wear silk, because it is harming so many worms that could not just change into what they were supposed to be. They were supposed to fly. They were supposed to be a moth. Oh, but moth has a short life. It may have a short life, but what gives you the right to take away its short life? Right? Yeah. And now they have a new thing called ahimsa silk. Have you heard of that? Ahimsa silk, meaning this is the silk where the moth has abandoned the cocoon. After gaining the wing, it bites through or breaks through the cocoon, and the short threads make for a rougher silk. It's not so long, it's not so smooth, and then it frays quickly, because the short threads you have to kind of overlap and put. So like this, all this is Brahman. So silk material means silk cocoon. coming from the silkworm. Where did the silkworm come from? Ishvara. It's all Brahman alone. And so like this we have seen that like even the bija which gives rise to a tree. So the intelligence of how the tree should develop is already there. The software of the tree is there in the seed. Even though if you split the seed and see it, you don't see a small little tree. You don't. But you see that. And then you don't see that, but it is there. And so tasmad akashadikaranatvad asti brahma. And then further, now we are starting for this week. Nacha asatah jatam kinchit grihyate loke karyam. He asks, do you see anything that has come from asat? Do you see anything? Following this logic. What is the logic? The logic is karanam karyeshu vartate. The cause is inherent in the effect. That is the logic. The effect is not separate from the cause. So if the cause is non-existent, do you see anything coming out of non-existent? Do you see anything coming out of non-existence? No. We don't see anything at all coming out of non-existence. Further, and here we can start repeating, yatha ghatankuradi karanam vridbijadi. Yeah, this bija we have to cancel. I'll tell you why later. Just making a note to myself. Yeah. Tasmat akashadi karanatvat asti brahma nacha asatah jatam kinchit grihyate loke karyam asataschet namarupadikaryam niratmakatvat na upalabhyeta upalabhyate tu tasmad asti brahma. Yeah, this has become the refrain. At the end of every sentence he says tasmad asti brahma karanatvat asti brahma. So he says, if first of all we don't see anything coming out of asat. Asat means non-existence, sheer non-existence, not non-existence of something at a certain time. That's not what we are talking about. We are not talking of the pot that is non-existent here, but it is there in the lecture hall. That's not what we are talking about. We are talking about non-existence personified. So that non-existence is such non-existence is not there. Correct? That non-existence is not possible. And out of the, even if that non-existence were to be there, then what comes out of non-existence? Nothing. What can come out of it? Nothing at all. And then so therefore asataschet namarupadi karyam niratmakatvat na upalabhyate. Then you won't be seeing anything. And then, but you do see things. You see the whole jagat is populated with all kinds of things. And so therefore upalabhyate tu tasmat asti brahma. Asataschet karyam drihyamanamapi asad anvitam eva tat syat. So supposing if the karya means jagat, if the whole jagat has come from non-existence, then we would have non-existence in here in the effect. So then let us look at the non-existent elements. A non-existent space, a non-existent air. Now then tell me the difference between the non-existent air and the non-existent fire. How will you make out the difference? Huh? What is the Vishesha? There is no speciality, there is no specialty. How do you recognize something in the universe? You recognize it because it's distinct from something else. This computer is different from some other computer. This room is different from that room. This side of the bank of the Ganga is different from the other side of the bank of the Ganga. And then this person is different from that person. And that's how you say asti, asti, asti as separate things. That's why everything has a separate name. Everything, because everything has a separate form. And this separate name and this separate form together, that is what makes this whole Jagat very interesting and filled with mystery, filled with a lot of intrigue, and it makes it, it makes it, what is that? It makes one want to explore, want to do research, want to see how things fit together. It is a scientist's dream. It's a researcher's heaven. Because there are so many things known, and yet underneath so many things known, there is so much unknown. So much unknown. And so, asataha chet, if supposing it had come from asat, nama rupadikaryam, if the whole, the world, the jagat, in the form of name and form had come from non-existence, then what name will you give a non-existent thing? It would also be the effect. If the cause is non-existent, what will be the effect? Non-existent. So then can I call it a non-existent Vayu? A non-existent fire? And how is a non-existent fire different from non-existent water? And what's the difference between a non-existent Ganga and a non-existent Yamuna river? So therefore, this is the, so asatah chet karyam grihyamanam api asadanvitam eva tat syat. Asadanvitam means inherent. Because everything we say is sad anvaya. Sad anvaya asti. Sat is there. Everything is sat, sat, sat iti asti, asti, asti iti upalabhyate. Asti, asti, asti iti upalabhyate. And so therefore there is for this jagat, if the jagat is asat, then if the karana is asat, then karya is also what? Asat. So then we have to say, please bring me some non-existent water in a non-existent glass to quench my non-existent thirst. We'll be talking like mad people. That is what will happen. And so therefore, sadeva satyam, there is no such thing called asat. So anything, anything that is there, that what makes Agni, heat and light, those are attributes. Oh, they are just attributes. Yeah, but they are existent or non-existent. If it is a non-existent attribute, we cannot describe fire as that which has heat and light. This is the description of fire. What is the description of water? That which is cool and has no taste. That is the description of water. Cool, transparent, no taste. But then supposing if we say that those attributes are non-existent, then we can't talk about each thing in itself, and then we cannot talk about each thing being different from another thing, because everything else is what? Nothing. If everything is nothing, then each thing is meaningless. And this is there. So there should be a proper anvaya for everything, meaning there should be a proper meaning for things. And so therefore the cause is existence. If the cause is existent, then the effect is also existent. Since the effect is existent, then the cause also has to be existent. And then, in fact, in the Chandogya, a question is asked, how can Sat come from Asat? How can Sat come from Asat? This question is asked in the Chandogya. Tasmad asti Brahma. Brahma asti. So this is the thing. So then asataschet grihyamanam api asadanvitam eva tatsyat nacha evam. We don't find it like this. Tasmad asti Brahma. Tatra, where Chandogya Upanishadi, in the Chandogya Upanishad, Katham asatah sat jayeta iti shrutyantaram asatah sat सज्जन्म असंभवम आचष्टे न्यायतः तस्माद् सदेव ब्रह्म इति युक्तम. He concludes with a very big bang. This is Adi Shankara. You don't have anything in between with Adi Shankara. And many times, what happens is that if a sustained argument has to be done, if the argument has to be sustained, then a lot of even prolific orators and speakers, you see them kind of whimpering down. They run out of things to say, they just grapple for examples, or they just kind of become uninterested and uninteresting. But with him, with Adi Shankara, there is no intellectual slackness. And neither is he in a hurry. He is not in a hurry, and neither is he trying to belabor this point. If you see him belaboring this point, and if you feel that he is belaboring this point, that means it is important. You have to sit up and follow through. Even if it is not important now, it was important in his time to ward off the objections coming from certain kinds of people. Here the ancient Buddhist who was a Shunyavadi, that is in his time. So you can't bring in the present day Buddhism and say this is what we mean by emptiness and all that. All that is fine. But we are talking of what the Buddhism he was facing at that time. Like if we look at the present day Zen, it's almost non-separate from Vedanta. But you can't sort of bring in the present day Zen to counter this, or to as a comparison. Because in those days there was different kinds of Buddhist sects. One of them was Shunyavada, that was on this side of the continuum. Another one was Madhyamika and Kshanikavada. Madhyamika and then the other one was Kshanikavada, the theory, the philosophy of sparks. Everything is a spark. And that kind of, those were we see some strains of it in current day, but these were the specific sects of Buddhism. And out of those sects, he is now countering the Shunya argument. And that is basically what it is. And towards the end, he gets even more enthused and he quotes a Shruti, Chandogya Shruti, which asks a very simple question. And what is the question? How can Sat come from Asat? How can existence come from non-existence when both of them are philosophically opposed to one another? And so this is the iti shrutyanta. So katham asatah sajjayeta. See, we have studied this in the Chandogya Bhashya. We have studied this. Okay. Yeah. So if you go back and look at your notes, you will find some arthaspuranam, or the memory might come back. And so iti shrutyantaram. So in the shruti means Upanishad. Antaram, another shruti. Sajjanma asambhavam achaste nyayatah. It is shown logically how it is impossible for Sat to come out of Asat. It is shown. And that's where he stops. He does not explain how the Chandogya Shruti does it, because why? He thinks you have you have already studied the Chandogya Shruti. And so the non-exist, but what the Chandogya Shruti says is that the non-existent thing cannot come from non-existence, because why? That thing, the parent itself, is non-existent. So if you say the child of a woman who cannot give birth, what? Had a child. So the son of a woman who cannot give birth had a child. And I'm going to the naming ceremony, and there will be lots of sweets and lots of wonderful things to eat. So the parent itself is not there. Why? Because the son of a person who cannot give birth is not there. Correct? And so then his son or her son is, that's the, his son or daughter is not possible to exist. So therefore, a non-existent thing cannot come. Why? Simply because it is non-existent, that is itself its thing. And then therefore, so this Vandhya Putra, if you take the non-existent child of a non-existent mother, then na jayate, it is not born, na mriyate, it does not die, and it does not get married. So there is no such thing as his child or her child, further next generation. We cannot do that. And so therefore, this is therefore tasmad asti brahma. And so the iti yuktam. So therefore he concludes it is proper to say Brahma asti. See, so many arguments he has gone through. He has gone through the argument of what is that? Akashadi karanatvat. And then because it's the cause of Akasha, etc. First argument. And then the second argument is what? That out of non-existence nothing can come. Then the Purva Pakshi is scratching his hands. Purva Pakshi means the one who raises objections. This is how in the Adi Shankara Bhashya, objection, response. And the objections are actually in our heads, but here they are amplified so that we understand. We bring that to fore and you clear those objections. So there is an Akshepa, Purva Pakshi. Tad yadi mrid bijadivat karanam syat achetanam tarhi. Here again the bija we have to we have to read it as mridadivat syat. Tad yadi, he says suppose, he brings the next objection. Who? The one who is objecting. Suppose, because the person doesn't want to accept that Brahman is not there. I mean, is there. So that person's argument, because that person belongs to a philosophical parampara that says nothing is, everything has come from nothing. And so that person is wedded to that ideology in the face of everything that is opposed to that. Okay. And so if that is the case, then what is the, so then the second question comes from this same objector. All right, I'll go along, I'll play this game. We can have fun with this game. Okay, I'll give you a point. What's the point? Brahma asti. Brahman exists. All right, no problem. But you only said ghata. Ghata means what? What? And so now the cause of ghata is what? Mrit. Mrit means clay. You only said clay. Clay is the cause. Clay is the cause of what? Pot. And you gave another example earlier. Gold is the cause of ornament. Right? Gold is the cause of ornament, clay is the cause of pot, etc., etc., etc. So then what? So therefore, tadyadi mridadivat karanam syat achetanam tarhi. Tarhi means suppose you named all these things, gold, clay, etc., as the cause of existent things such as pot, ornaments, etc. So your Brahman, because I don't believe in Brahman at all. Your Brahman must be achetana, jada, insentient. Why not? Because locally all the causes that you have named are insentient. What is the cause of pot? Clay. Is clay sentient? No. And then what is the cause of ornament? Gold. Is it sentient? No. So why not? The whole world is there and has come from Brahman, which is insentient. No problem. I will accept some kind of Brahman is what you like to call Brahman is, and you can say sat insentient, is. But then how come it is not? Why can't you say it is insentient? Na Adi Shankara. No. Why? And he brings in a beautiful segue to the mantra that we are about to study. So kamayat bahusyam praja gegeti satapotapyat satapastaptva idagam sarvam asrijat. This is what we are about to enter into this mantra, this portion of this mantra, and he gives a beautiful segue as a way of answering this particular objection. He brings in this objection just for this particular thing. He brings in this objection just to establish the to connect to the mantra and to establish the how the Shruti unfolds Ishvara. That is what he wants to say now. And so what does he say? He says, Na Brahman is not achetana vastu. It is not, Brahman is not insentient. First we had to fight with you to say it is existent. You were trying to make it what? Non-existent. And now another headache you are giving. First headache, I somehow put it away. And now another headache you are giving, saying it is insentient. So I don't know which is better, non-existent or insentient, but both of them are not acceptable to the Vedantin, who says, na, not really. And what is the karana given? The karana given is kamayitritvat. Kamayitritvat. Because of being a desirer. Saha means Atma, Brahmatma. So this Saha, which was earlier described in the earlier mantras of the Taittiriya itself as the one that was from which Akasha, Vayu, etc. have come. That Saha, this Atma, which is Brahman, this Brahmatma alone, from this Brahmatma alone everything has come. This much was talked about. And then from this Brahmatma and this Saha, that Saha which was talked about as Akasha, Vayu, etc., the parent or the cause of all that, from that everything has come. And so now that one, Saha, that Brahmatma, akamayat, that Brahmatma desired. Can a non-sentient thing desire? No. Suppose the computer I'm sitting in front of had its own desires. I am tired of zooming your classes. I want to broadcast. I have my own ideas of what to say. I want to say a few things. And then let's say you're sitting on a carpet. It had a desire. Why can't I be a magic carpet and get some fresh air and fly in the sky? Thankfully, it doesn't. Certain things are meant to stay insentient. That's why we can have vyavahara. Certain things are acted upon. And the sentient person is the actor, the one who acts. Otherwise, you take a spoon to eat your food, and the spoon says, "Wait a minute, I fast. I'm doing intermittent fasting. I fasted all day yesterday. Now I want to eat," and the spoon eats the food. Does not happen. This means what? This means that only a conscious being has the privilege to desire. Desire rests in a conscious being, and the desire is preceded always by knowledge. You cannot desire something you do not know. You do not know something, how can you desire it? Only a known thing, or at least an indirectly known thing, becomes the object of desire. You cannot desire what you don't know. And so knowledge precedes desire, and then is succeeded by action to fulfill the desire or to do something about it naturally. And so therefore here this is very important. So he says that it is not possible at all for Brahman to be insentient, because go back to the Shruti, go back to the Upanishad. What does the Upanishad say? Saha akamayat. He desired, he meaning Atma. Atma is masculine, so therefore it is he. He desired. And then he says, Adi Shankara says here, Nahi kamayitru achetanam asti loke. We don't see anything insentient starting to have desires. If insentient things also started to have desires, then we are in trouble. We wouldn't be able to lead our lives. Even the clothes somebody is wearing decided to go for a walk without the person. Finished, gone. And so then, so like this, we don't see anything in the universe that is able to desire without being sentient. And in fact, the word tru, kamayitru, that tru is a special suffix which is an agent noun. You know, kama, desire, kamayitru, desirer. So the er is a suffix which is tru. Er in English, eater, drinker, sleeper, thinker. Er in English is tr with a dot underneath in Sanskrit. The er becomes tr. That is the Atma. That is where in that tr, the tru, lies the Atma, because that is where the conscious being is. Not in the kama, but in that tru. Kama yitru. This is the thing. And so therefore, you can't say that there is a what is that, insentient thing. Insentient is not there. Only sentient is there. Because if it is sentient, then only it can desire. The capacity to desire comes from what? Sentient. So therefore, sentience alone gives the capacity to desire, because, as I said, the desire succeeds knowledge. And if knowledge is there, knowledge has to rest in a conscious being. That's why jnatru, knower, that same tru, jnatru, kartru. When you say karta, bhokta, actually it is kartru, bhoktru. We just give the first, the object, subject case. Out of that 8 by 8 table, we take the first one. Bhokta, karta, we say, but actually it is bhoktru, kartru. And so this is this Jagat Karanam Brahma. This is what it is. And so therefore what? So therefore this is the you cannot say it is insentient. Why? Just the simple reasoning, simple logic. You don't even, of course the Upanishad also says, but then you just help yourself with simple logic. Simple logic. And then here the it is a what is that? It is a very sukshma thing. Sukshma means subtle. It's a subtle thing because the presence of the subtle body itself makes that sentience and insentient. What is the difference between something that is sentient and insentient? What is the difference? The presence or the absence of a subtle body. Rock is also Sat. You are also Sat. What is the difference? You are Chetana, it is Jada. That is the only difference. And why is it Jada? Lacks a subtle body. It does not have the capacity to say, I am a rock, look, come and talk to me. I will tell you the geology, the geological story of how one day I was a tree in a forest and now I am a rock. I will tell you millions of years of my adventures, how long I have been on this earth. Maybe I was a meteor somewhere else and I have fallen here. I will entertain you. I will tell you all kinds of stories you do not know. Come sit by me. In fact, sit on me and enjoy. It will not say, it cannot say why Sukshma Sharira Abhavat. Sukshma Sharira Abhavat. So, when there is Sukshma Sharira, then there is Chaitanya, consciousness. Because that consciousness which we talk about as Brahman, which is all pervasive, which is everywhere, which is everything. You need to have some receivers, right? To receive that consciousness, and then you say, I have the whole body, mind, sense complex is conscious. Why? Because I have received that consciousness, and that consciousness is as though conditioned now by this body, mind, sense complex. There is no that in this, it's only one consciousness. Just like the radio waves are sound waves, that's all there is. But then you have the transmitter and the receiver, that's all it is. So when you go like this, you fiddle with the knob and then suddenly you catch a station. That's exactly how it is. Same waves come in the form of a particular frequency. And that frequency is caught. Why? Because that radio, which is the instrument, has the capacity of catching that frequency. So therefore, those things in the universe with a Sukshma Sharira have the capacity of catching that consciousness and projecting that consciousness in a different way than the insentient things that we encounter and use in the everyday life. I hope that is clear. Okay. And so then when that is there, this is what is called Chaitanya. That's why I said this bija, we should not do that, because bija is Chetana. Here he uses bija, but only clay we can use. We don't have to use bija at all. So then from the insentient, only insentient comes. So now after the Shunya, just a small footnote here, after polishing off the Shunyavadi, the strain of the ancient Buddhist sect which talked about non-existence, this the person now, Bhashyakara now goes to the question of sentient and insentient. This is now countering the Sankhya argument. Because the Sankhya, which was again talked about this morning, the Sankhya philosophy says that everything has come from some insentient thing, Maya, insentient. Not possible. Not possible, because there is already that separation. And so therefore here Sankhya Darshana is kept in view when Adi Shankara dismisses this particular thing as this insentient is the one which is the cause. Insentient cannot be a cause. cannot be a cause. And then, so because insentient is consisting of sattva, rajas, tamas, we saw this. Insentient cannot be the cause. Insentient, if it is the cause, then everything will be insentient. And I won't be here sitting pointing to the fact that things are sentient, and you won't be here listening to it. And so therefore this particular Sankhya Darshana, less said about it, the better. So this is being attacked here. Its position is not in keeping with the Shruti. That is the idea. You cannot distort the Shruti to put your own thing there. You have to have objectivity. Then if the question arises, how come the Vedantin is objective? Even the Sankhya person, even the Shunyavadi can say, I am objective. Just because you say you are objective, you're not objective. There are two ways to look at the text. We also have a long history of hermeneutics. The ability to interpret, etc., is all there, it's given. We have a very long history. But then, what is there here? The difference here is this, that we let the Shruti speak, and then we adjust our minds, clean up the antahkarana of the raga and dvesha, including the raga for a particular ideology or a particular notion. You allow that to suspend and see what is being said. And since that is a way of understanding myself, I approach the Shruti with great reverence to see what actually it is saying, and imbibe that rather than color it with my own paint of notions. I put a coat of paint, and Shunyavadi puts another coat of paint, and then the Sankhya puts another coat of paint. That's why Vedanta first strips. Vedanta is that solution which strips the paint in order to be able to look at what kind of wood it is. So it's not about painting. And because that which we are talking about is free of any modification, that which is free of all modifications. And so how can you say it has become a desirer? The desirer is as though this Brahman, which is Atma, has assumed without undergoing any change the status of the desirer. That is the idea. It has accepted the status of a desirer and has projected this world from that status of the desirer, because it is a conscious being. It has even though it is nirvikara, without any attributes, it has accepted the status of the desirer. How? Through Maya Shakti. We talked about this in the morning. Through Maya Shakti alone. Maya Shakti is not a separate Shakti. It is not a parallel power. It is not a separate power. It is not above Brahman. It is not below Brahman. It is not next to Brahman. It is nothing but Brahman. In fact, it doesn't have an independent existence other than Brahman. It is just Brahman. So from the standpoint of the material reality in the world, in the empirical reality, we say what? It is a material cause. Brahman is the material cause. From the standpoint of the intelligence behind the creation, we say it is the intelligent cause. The Sanskrit word for intelligent cause, nimitta karana, and then upadana karana, material cause. Which is more, which is greater? Nothing. Without nimitta, there is no upadana. Without upadana, there is no nimitta. Kalidasa composed a very nice verse, which says, what does it say? Vagartha viva sampriktau, vagartha pratipattaye, jagatah pitarau vande, Parvati Parameshwarau. When he wrote the Raghu Vamsha, the whole lineage of Rama, he wrote in so many chapters, 11 or something chapters called cantos, and there he the beginning he writes this opening prayer. The two that are inseparable from one another, like a word and its meaning. Can you separate the word from its meaning? Never. So just like that, who are these? I salute, I worship the parents of the world, Parvati and Parameshwara, who are inseparable from one another, like word and its meaning. So then there is no superior or inferior, because there is this particular compound that he uses, Dvandva compound. It's like, you say Pani Padam, hands and legs, mother and father, so both are equal here. In this particular compound, all the units put there are equal, of equal importance. It's not that one is better and one is less. So here, Maya is none other than Brahman, and then they are inseparable from one another. One is mithya, it is a mithya power. Shakti is mithya. That is what we have to see, that is what we have to understand. And then that desire alone shows that it is a sentient, that sentience is there, and then the sentience brings forth all that, all that, the whole jagat. That is the idea. More we'll see tomorrow, since the dinner bell has gone off over here. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ थैंक
Thank you, Swamini.
you टेक केयर